Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We'd like to call the meeting of the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners to order. First on the agenda, we'll be led in prayer by Commissioner Turner. Then after that, Commissioner Dodd will lead us in the pledge to the flag.
Let's pray. Most gracious and Heavenly Father, thank you again for the opportunity that you've given each one of us to represent our constituents tonight. Ask that we pray for your blessing over those who are in attendance here and those who are watching at home. We're thankful that you've given each one of us an incredible privilege to be born in the United States of America and become citizens of this country. We just ask that we honor you tonight in the way that we treat each other, the way that we respect each other. Allow us to honor you with the way that we conduct the business of the people. I ask all these things in the name of your Son, Jesus. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Commissioner Schaefer?
Here.
Commissioner Piercy?
Here.
Commissioner Jordan?
Here.
Commissioner P?
Here.
Commissioner Cook?
Here.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Here.
Commissioner Cush?
Present.
Commissioner Reed?
Here.
Commissioner Gurley? Commissioner Turner?
Here.
Commissioner Allen? Commissioner Stevens? Commissioner Johnson?
Here.
Commissioner Baum?
Here.
Commissioner Nipper? Commissioner Dodd? Commissioner Phillips? Commissioner McAdoo? Commissioner Ely? Commissioner Gooch? And Commissioner Serenia. 20 present.
All right, thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Next, we have the reading and approval of the minutes from the last meeting. Commissioner Phillips.
Thank you, Mayor Burgess. I've reviewed those minutes. I find them to be in order and move that we dispense with the reading and that they be adopted.
And do we have a second? Commissioner Sereno and Cook. Did anyone have any corrections or additions that they noted? If not, all of you then in favor of that, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you very much. Okay. Now, did I give you my... We do have now a time for public comments, and we have one speaker tonight. Mr. Mike Linton, please come forward, give us your name and address, and make your comments, please. And as always, I remind everyone it's 3 minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor Burgess. My name is Mike Linton. I live at 155 Spence Creek Lane in Murfreesboro. I'm a member of the Rutherford Neighborhood Alliance, a nonpartisan organization devoted to county government transparency. 2 months ago, I reported to you our discovery that Rutherford County was not in compliance with Tennessee Code annotated 67-5-1903, a law dealing with county commission oversight of delinquent taxes. Tonight, I'd like to show you the financial consequences of long delinquent taxes. I passed out to you copies of Chancellor Howard Wilson's order of dismissal of April 4th, 2017. This order dismissed taxes that were for property held in 2005, that were late in February 2006, and then became delinquent in February 2007. You will see that the total tax dismissed was $24,335.79. If we included the interest that would be attached had these taxes been collected, using as an example a late tax collected from that same year, 2005, an example of which you are also copied, it is not unreasonable to see that the figure jumped to about $72,000. $72,000 out of a total estimated revenue of over $86 million isn't particularly significant. Yet, if we remember that delinquent and dismissed taxes is a rolling issue, the taxes which are dismissed this year were due in 2006. The taxes that will be dismissed next year were due in 2007, and et cetera, and then continue to look out over a 10-year period. The RNA estimates that Rutherford County is looking at a potential tax loss of about $720,000. That figure is a bit less than 2% of our revenue, and that is not insignificant. The Rutherford Neighborhood Alliance urges the County Commission to look into this matter and bring the county into compliance with Tennessee law. Not collecting taxes legally due is bad for our finances. Not abiding by Tennessee law is bad for our character. Thank you.
Next on the agenda is elections and confirmations. Commissioner Turner.
Thank you, Mayor Burgess. Good evening, Commissioners. On your iPad, you should see a list of notaries that we need to approve, and Mr. Chairman, I make a motion for their approval.
Second, Commissioner Phillips. Did anyone have anyone that they needed to add to this list tonight? If not, then all of you in favor of that, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much.
We also need to fill a vacancy on the Emergency Communications District Board, and steering would like to nominate Mr. John Hood, and I make a motion for his approval.
Second, Commissioner Piercy and others. All right, if there are no other nominations, all of you in favor of that, then please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Steering would like to also announce 3 vacancies on the Community Care Board of Directors, and steering would like to also announce 6 vacancies on the Board of Health. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Turner. Okay, next, the resolution to approve the consent agenda. Commissioner Phillips.
Thank you, Mayor Burgess. I've also reviewed that consent agenda, find all those items appropriate, and move that the consent agenda be adopted.
Second, Commissioner Jordan. Does anyone wish to remove any of those items from the consent agenda? All right, there being no one wishing to remove any of those items, then please cast your votes.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the votes, please.
20 yes, motion passes.
We're ready for the reports by our standing committees. Commissioner Jordan, Budget, Finance, and Investment Committee.
How was everybody this evening? Thank goodness for the consent agenda is all I can say. Item J1A, General Fund Budget Amendment Resolution. Be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that the general fund be amended as follows. Planning and building codes, increased revenue, development tax, $332,500, increased expenditures, data processing equipment, $427,500, decreased expenditures, maintenance agreements, $70,000, data processing services, $10,000, and maintenance agreements, $15,000. This is for the new software that's been talked about for some time that's going to work in planning and building codes both. This is a huge step into the current century that we've been needing to take for some point in time. Resolved the 17th day of May, 2018. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
Second, Commissioner Dodd and several others, I'm sure. Any discussion here on this matter? If not, then please cast your votes. All right, Mr. Jernigan, we're still waiting. If you very good.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the votes, please.
20 yes, motion passes.
Before I go back to my seat, I'd like to say the Budget Committee is in full action next week, so if anybody wants to come participate in the fund, we'll be in room 205 Monday and Wednesday. and at 5:30. And Tuesday night, I'll urge everybody that can to attend. We'll have our joint meeting with the school board, Health and Ed Committee, and Budget Committee to go over the school budget, which is the biggest part of our expenditures. And it would be great for anybody that can be to be there and learn a lot that night. Thank you.
Mr. Jordan, before you go, maybe what I would talk to you a bit about the other day, while we're here, well, it's public, and we're running ahead of schedule. We have our distinguished finance director again here, and she's won another award for.
I forgot the name of the award. We win so many. I mean, her room office is covered up with plaques, and if she doesn't win one of these awards one year, there'll be a disappointment to all of us. But
We probably won't tell you.
what is?
What do you call that, Ms.? What's the name of the award? She got a 100% score from the comptroller's office with respect to the financial report that she makes every year for us.
It's a very long, lengthy thing, but it pretty much is telling everybody that we followed all the reporting requirements for the, I think it used to be called the Certificate of Achievement or Certificate of Conformance or something, but it is issued by the Government Finance Officers Association, which that organization kind of helps standardize governmental accounting all over the United States and Canada. And there's a lot of other countries that follow those procedures too. So what it does say is that we do present additional information above and beyond what we, our counterparts have to. So.
And how many years is it?
22, 23.
So this is 22 or 23
22
years.
or 3 years in a row, and any other county would make front page news for getting it once. I mean, as a longtime budget member, and the staff over there, Lisa, Mark, and that staff, they make my job easy, they make this man's job easy, and we are so blessed to have the type of people we've got in that department over there, because we aren't on the news, we aren't in the paper with deficiencies or problems. No, they do a first-class job, and we're very blessed to have the people we've got.
It is the staff of the finance department that is top-notch. So I'm blessed to work with them.
Thank you very, very much again. Okay. I just told some of our visitors that are here for this public hearing tonight, this may be the first time in history that we've finished the whole agenda before, except for any other business. But anyway, there are no reports for Health and Ed Committee, Property Management, or Public Safety. There is one resolution from Public Works and Planning, and we'll call on Commissioner Cooch for that resolution, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have not won any awards today, but the night is still young. All right, I have a resolution from Planning and Public Works. Whereas the Rutherford County Highway Commission, by and through the Rutherford County Highway Superintendent, is working with the Tennessee Department of Transportation on a bridge improvement project along Gucci Ford Road, and whereas the said bridge will be improved as part of a state aid project and managed by and through the Rutherford County Highway Commission, and whereas it was necessary to obtain additional small parcels of property being 0.2 acres from Fat Management LLC and 0.4 acres from Curly P. Reed and 0.03 acres from Melvin Adams and 0.5 acres from Fat Management LLC respectively on each corner of the existing bridge. And whereas, pursuant to the state aid program, the Rutherford County Highway Superintendent obtained donations from the appropriate landowners for said parcels, and whereas the Rutherford County Highway Commission Board has approved same, and whereas any cost of closing will be paid by the Highway Department, and whereas it is appropriate to have the County Commission approve same to comply with any private act, and whereas signatures have been obtained from the property owners subject to County Commission approval, now therefore be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that the acquisition of right-of-way along Gucci Ford Road by donation, as stated above in conjunction with the bridge improvement project, shall be and hereby is approved and ratified. Resolved this 17th day of May 2018. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
And a second from Commissioner Phillips and P. and others, I'm sure. Any questions or discussions about that matter? This is a long-awaited improvement to that bridge there. I'm sure people are going to be very happy about that.
Just a brief synopsis. This is a 98% paid for by the state aid fund. The county participation is approximately 2%. The DOT wanted additional right-of-way to improve the slopes to this bridge, and the property owners surrounding were gracious enough to donate that land. So thank you to those landowners, and thank you to Superintendent Brooks for finally closing the deal here. So only 2% participation by the county.
All right, that being said, all of you in favor of that, let's see here, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you very much. Now, let's look on a little bit toward this balance of the agenda. I don't think we have time to really do the executive session regarding this lawsuit. Give it ample time between now and 6:30. So there's one other item that we can take care of. We've had one member of our Board of Equalization to resign, and this is a critical time this year with a substantial number of hearings, appeals regarding the assessment from our assessor's office. So we just found out about this about yesterday. So we put this on here because they want to be sure they've got a full slate of people to serve and hear these hearings as they come forward, and be sure they've got a quorum when they do meet every time, starting here, I think, 1st of June. So what we need here is to consider moving the alternate that's now serving, Mr. Dan Alcorn, up to a regular member position and fill the alternate vacancy. So Mr. P. has risen. Do we have a motion?
Yes, sir. I'd like to make the motion to move the alternate Dan Alcorn to become a regular member to fill the vacancy, and also to appoint Bill Jakes as the alternate.
Do we have a second? Second, Mr. Jordan and others there. Other discussion? All right, if there's no other discussion, then we're ready to vote. So all of you in favor of that, please say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? All right. So we have the public hearing scheduled for 6:30. Yes, ma'am. Do the other? Or there's one other thing. It's not on the agenda, but it's something I must do. So we're going to have to wait till 6:30 before we do this public hearing. So we'll have a bit of a break here. There's one other thing I'd like to bring to your attention. All of you know that the county has made a substantial contribution to the Jeff Coos Memorial that's going to be placed down at Lee Victory Park. But in any event, in honor of that, they're having what's called a Memorial Patrons Dinner. So the county has been given 10 seats at this dinner. So we have an opportunity for several of you to come. It's not 21 of these, so we only have 10. So what I want you to do, those of you that are interested in participating in this, tell me personally, at least tonight or by some other means within the next day or so, because we're supposed to give them how many are coming. I think May the 18th, that's tomorrow, isn't it? So, okay, this is going to be held on Friday, June the 8th at 6 p.m. at the Smyrna Events Center, and it's a semi-formal event, which means some of you will have to put on a coat and tie if you choose to do this. But in any event, June the 8th, 6 p.m., if you'd like to do this, please tell me before you leave tonight, if you can. So that's a public interest announcement. And what if we get more people to sign up, then seats are available. I will let Ms. Taylor put your names in a hat and we'll draw out until we get finished. Yes, sir, Mr. Gurley.
While we're kind of killing time, I thought I would make mention of a couple of things. One, this is National Police Week. It's a time when we remember those law enforcement officers that have given their lives in service. And if you haven't been to the Law Enforcement Memorial in Washington, it's a sobering experience. But I would just like for us to take a moment to remember all those, and there's quite a few from this great state that have made the ultimate sacrifice. And the other thing I would like to note is that tonight is graduation from Stewart's Creek High School. So I'd just like to take an opportunity, since I'm here and not there, to congratulate all those. There were a few that were getting their pictures taken on the steps of the courthouse. Apparently they think that's significant. So I would like to say congratulations to all of those that are graduating. And I think it was Central Magna was last night, and Commissioner Allen is more familiar with another school that I graduated from that's going to be Smyrna High, that's going to be graduating. I'll let her elaborate on that.
Okay, we can continue with the announcements that we normally have afterwards, and that'll fill a little bit more time. Anyone else have something they'd like to say? Ms. Allen.
Smyrna High School will be graduating tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, as will Eagleville. Eagleville will be at Eagleville School. Smyrna will be at MTSU. And while we're talking about Captain Coos, there are a couple of things I want to tell you about that. On the day after this patrons event that the mayor's mentioned, on June the 9th at 10 a.m. at Lee Victory Park, we'll have the dedication. We are hoping to turn the entire town a sea of blue, and there are T-shirts, magnets, decals, all for sale at the town of Smyrna, and 100% of any of those purchases are going to go towards funding the balance of the memorial. So I hope everybody will make every effort they can to attend that. The following week, on June 16th, is Smyrna's second annual Motlow Barbecue and Blue Jeans event. As you know, these community colleges have to raise 10% of the funds for any new buildings that they are given. And so Motlow has to raise $2.7 million as a community college. That's quite a struggle to do. And then, of course, any overages that come in terms of what from the original bid, that's also on the college to fund. So we're actually about $1 million shy right now, so it's been a really successful funding campaign. But I encourage everyone who can to buy a ticket and come to that, or buy a ticket and don't come. We just need you to, we need your support. But you can go online at motlowbarbecue.org to purchase your tickets. It's going to be a lot of fun.
And Mr. P.
The Kittrell Volunteer Fire Department is having a country ham breakfast this Saturday, the 19th, from 6 to 10. Would like for all of you to feel welcome to attend, please.
Mr. Pettis Reed.
Just as we are speaking of the captain and his recognition that we'll be having in the Smyrna area, would like to remind you that also on June the 2nd, there will be a memorial service at the Sam Davis home where the accident did occur, and that'll be at 2 p.m. that afternoon, and our own emergency management drill team will be conducting that memorial service, and we'd invite everybody to come out for that. A lot of people didn't realize that the board of directors and the trustees have built a memorial there on the grounds of the Sam Davis home where the accident did occur. So there will be this memorial service to place that honor there. So we'd like to invite everybody out to see that and see our own men here. That we have a memorial that they presented to our public safety, if some of you remember, several weeks ago, where they were involved in that pretty heavily when that accident occurred. I also want to mention on June the 9th in Eagleville, Tennessee, the numbers of that community will swell to a large number, because on June 9th is their annual Eagleville Truck and Tractor Pull. And it gets quite a lot of traffic and a lot of numbers, but it's something to really see when you go down there and see all that power happening down there on that track that has been built down there. And we invite everybody to come out and enjoy themselves in the Diamond of the West out there.
Anyone else have any other announcements? Mr. Piercy.
I'd just like to take the opportunity to extend all the thank yous and appreciation that I have gotten in the last 2 to 3 weeks for what we done here on this commission for the 2nd District and the entire northern part of the county. On behalf of our 2nd District, I thank every one of you for following us and being successful with what we've done. Thank you.
One is Commissioner Turner.
Thank you, Mayor Burgess. I was just going to say, I would like to make a motion that we go into recess until 6:30 before the
Hey, I've got
public
about
hearing
3
starts.
minutes. Does that sound look about right for that
4
clock?
minutes
up
on
there?
the wall.
So we'll have a very brief, quiet period here for 3 minutes or so. And Mr. Stevens has another announcement.
Can Mr. Demosi not go ahead and give us the background, and surely by then it'll be 6:30 to open the public hearing?
Could do that if you'll grant me that permission. We'll call it close enough to do that. All right, so let's just go ahead and back up here to this business about one rezoning request we have. By the time I get this ready, it might be 6:30. 18-A009, and this is going to be presented on behalf of North Boulevard Church of Christ by Mr. Glenn Norman. And this is a piece of property located along Burnt Knob Road. The existing zoning is residential medium density, and the proposed zoning is institutional, and the size of the site is about 19 acres. So, Mr. Demosi, you may tell us a bit more about that, please.
Yes, Mayor Burgess, thank you, and good evening, Mayor, members of the commission. In light of the fact that we only have a couple minutes before 6:30, I'll just try to talk really, really slow to get through this. Information provided by the applicant, and if you look on your agenda packets on your iPads, you'll see that this information is included with your agenda, indicates they wish to construct a 16,000 square foot church to accommodate over 500 occupants. The west campus of the North Boulevard Church of Christ currently meets at the Farmers Market Building at the Lang Agri-Park and has seen regular attendance of around 350 people. They would like to find a more permanent location for this church branch. The proposed use falls under the large community assembly classification, which is anything greater than 500 persons in our zoning ordinance. We break it down into 3 different types of community assembly: small, medium, and large. Small community assemblies are allowed by right in the RM zone, which this property is currently zoned. Medium community assemblies are allowed by special exception, which go to the Board of Zoning Appeals. Large community assemblies, however, are not allowed in the RM zone, which does necessitate a rezoning application. Although right now their attendance is averaging around 350, which would qualify for the medium community assembly, the applicants feel that their purposes would be better served if they were to request rezoning to a large community assembly now, rather than have to make 2 applications, one for the medium and then when their numbers grow, a second for the large. Staff alerted the applicant to other rezoning applications that have been made in this area and really within the last year. Staff recommended that the applicant pursue institutional zoning on this, as the range of uses is much more limited than any of the other zones that they could ask for. And quite frankly, when we created the hierarchy that we have now with small, medium, and large, when we were doing the new zoning ordinance, we actually created this particular zone, the institutional zone, for precisely this reason, to look at these type of uses and similar uses. This property will continue to have access to Burnt Knob Road. There is a concept plan that is attached with your agenda packets. Understand this is a non-binding concept plan. If this were to be approved, they would have to submit an engineered site plan when they wanted to move forward with development. The right-of-way for this part of Burnt Knob Road is within the city of Murfreesboro's city limits, so any proposed access to the road, any improvements would also have to be reviewed by the city of Murfreesboro. Landscaping and amenities, they would have to require a type 1 buffer adjacent to residentially zoned properties. This would be shown on a site plan, again, that would be submitted to our office, along with a landscape plan to make sure that conformance with these regulations, the zoning and whatnot, are maintained. Also, the performance standards that we have for noise, lighting, glare, those kind of things would also apply. We did have several factors we felt that would support rezoning in this area. Recent annexations and commercial rezonings in the area by the city of Murfreesboro, the future West Side Park, which is directly across the street from this property, and the fact that Burnt Knob Road will be widened to 5 lanes in the future, and the recommendations of our comprehensive plan, which do anticipate these type of uses. I also feel comfortable with this request that the institutional zone is more limited in its allowable uses. That being said, we know that drainage drainage is an issue on this property, and that is something our engineering staff does take very seriously. When we see a development plan for that, that will be something that we definitely will be keeping an eye on. During the public hearing, there were several questions by the Planning Commission regarding this request, ranging from allowable uses in the institutional zone, drainage issues again, and the status of the widening of Burnt Knob Road. After discussing those questions that were answered by staff, the Planning Commission did recommend approval of this application by a unanimous vote, and I made it. So with that, we'll be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions of Mr. Demosi? If there are no questions of Mr. Demosi, then we'll declare this public open for any of those that wish to speak. May come forward and give us your name and address and make your comments. So now is your opportunity. So if anyone wishes to speak for or against this application, now is your time. Okay, that young lady was going out, not coming up. So so there's no one that wishes to speak. So that being the case, the public hearing is closed. Do we have a motion concerning this request? Mr. Gurley.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Apparently, initially in this, it was thought that this was in Commissioner Gooch's district, so I was a little bit blindsided by this, and when I was reviewing our documents this morning, I spent several hours today coming up to speed on this, talking to Mr. Demosi, talking to the applicant, and so after considering everything, the fact that there will be the park across the street, Burnt Knob will get widened to 5 lanes, which alleviates a lot of traffic concerns, and the fact that no one came forward to speak against this, I will make a motion to approve.
And do we have a second? Commissioner Dodd and Commissioner Allen, any further discussion about this? All right, if there's no other discussion, then all of you in favor of this approval of this application, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Demosi. Okay. Well, now we can vacate the building except for these people that are commissioners here. We're back to the last item that we're going to have, and that is an executive session regarding a lawsuit that's been in place. And as soon as we are cleared here, then we'll let Mr. McCrary give you a review of all of that.
Okay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back in session after having an executive session with our county attorney. So, Mr. McCrary, please just make a brief statement as to what we have discussed.
So we are coming out of an executive session where we've talked about a pending case styled Doe Frazier versus Rutherford County and others. During the executive session, I presented information to you about the case with a possible settlement scenario. You asked me questions. Of course, you didn't deliberate during that meeting. And now it is up to you to determine whether or not you want to approve that settlement proposal. And there will need to be a motion and a second and so forth, and deliberation if necessary on that motion.
All right, Mr. Phillips.
I move to approve the settlement agreement on Doe Frazier versus Rutherford Counties substantially as presented, and give the authority to Mayor Burgess to enter the settlement agreement.
Second, Commissioner Schaefer. Further discussion by anyone? All right, all of you in favor of that, then please say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? All right. Is there any other business to come before this body tonight? If not, thank you very much for your participation. We are adjourned. And those of you that wish to go to the Jeff Cush Memorial Patrons Dinner, please come let me know. Thank you. We are adjourned.